Lucky for some, welcome to the 13th vlog. 13, can you believe it? This week has been quite a focused week. I've been working on the next Battle Games in Middle-earth video, which you'll have to wait to see everything of, which is an amazing build and I'm very excited and having great fun doing. And I've also mainly focused on Rosie's Hobbit hole. That's because it is now less than 2 weeks until her first birthday and I'm still quite a long way off completed. So I have got a few other bits and pieces in there. I've tried to work on a few other things just to add some variety really to my week as well as to this video. But largely you're going to be seeing that Hobbit hole progressing. So I'll stop rambling now and welcome you to enjoy the rest of the video, and I will see you at the end. I've been thinking about this quite a lot and wondering what I'm going to do and how I'm going to go. I'm very, very pleased with the way that the track works, but I'm not sure how to transition it over to the rest of the build. And after quite a lot of thought, I think, yeah, I'm still undecided. What I'm thinking of doing is potentially using the same colour paint as I've put across the entire board, but this was put on using glue, so it's taken no colour. It's not bled any colour from any paint because it's been stuck on using the plane. So if I paint this colour on and put the dirt over the top of it, some of that dirt will take on the colour of the paint that's coming through, which I quite like, and it will raise it so that it actually looks flat, I think. At the moment there's a little lip around the edge of the track, raising the track above the surrounding, and if you look on the picture here, you can see that it should be coming up out of it and there should be quite a lot of grass. Now, I think that's what I'm going to do, and if it doesn't work then I'll just have to kind of like cope with that and do something different. So I'm going to give it a try. I'm probably going to start off over here and just do a little corner, scatter the sand on and see how it looks, and then decide how to do the rest of the build. So I will leave the camera running because capturing mistakes is almost more fun than capturing things that work first time. So yeah, I'll turn some music on and you can watch me do this attempt. I've done a small amount. I've stepped away for a bit, which is always a good idea when you're modelling. And I've had a think, and I've also taken a picture and sent it to Angela and had a chat with her. I think it's going to look okay. I was a little bit unsure at first. It does lose a lot of the purple and that kind of nice colour, but then it also looks like soil and it looks great, and I think that the purple is coming through slightly, very subtly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to crack on with the rest of this board, doing exactly the same thing again. So painting the paint on, scattering a bit of dust and moving on, and I will come back at the end when I'm done. I'm not going to run the camera for the whole time. There's going to be enough music and speeded up sections in my videos. I think I'm going to have to think about limiting that a bit because the last one has been a bit crazy. So I will show you what it looks like when I have completed doing this task. Well, there we are. That's enough for tonight, I think. There's a bit more to do tomorrow once this has dried. There's a few bits that have been missed here, and clearly I need to do the front of the hole, the front of the mound. But I'm going to do that by standing it up, and so I just want to let it all dry, and I'll touch those bits up as well tomorrow. But I'm pretty pleased with that. It's got enough of a differentiation between where the track is and where the rest of the land is. Over here I'm going to mix the purple in, the brown, the Afrikansky in with some chocolate, because Sam would have dug his vegetable patch over with compost, obviously being a good gardener, and so I think that would be a richer colour. But I'm pretty pleased with how that's looking. I'm more than pretty, very pleased with how that's looking. What I have done as well is made the gate a little narrower, because it was just quite wide before. It was this wide before, and I've added 2 more sticks there, and I might put another one in over here. Very easy for me to add, so that's not a problem at all. But yeah, cracking on, good progress for the evening. We'll be back to this tomorrow. It's just before work the next day, and what I'm going to do now in the few minutes I've got spare to me is the paint and the dust over the top of this part. So I've turned the Hobbit hole on its back so I can do that a little bit easier. So I'm going to crack on with that now, and I'll show you what it looks like when it is done. The next thing to do on this build, and we're getting pretty close to the most exciting part now, is I want to put a reddish paint over the top of where Sam will be working on his vegetable garden. This is because, of course, he would definitely have used compost. So I've got this reddish paint, and it is going to look a little bit shocking, but trust me, it will work out. And what I'm going to do is paint this over this area and then scatter the same type of dust that I've scattered elsewhere over the top of this, and it should soak through and just give it a slightly different tinge, but not be too shocking, I hope. There we are. And now for the sand. So I'll just scatter that over. Very frugal with this because we'll empty this out and it will just soak up, and what's loose is fall off. What I'm going to do also now is I'm going to wash my brush, and there's a couple of little spots I can see where I need to maybe stick some more sand down with the purplish, more purple paint. So I'll get that done as well while I'm working on this, but I won't do that on camera. So that's what I'm doing there. I will show you what that's like when it's been dried as well. I've got a couple of items here which I'm going to start painting up for Rosie's Hobbit hole, and just to get them started. They're not going to be needed for a little while, but I may as well paint them. I've undercoated them both just using the Vallejo grey. I haven't yet got the airbrush set up obviously, so that's been done with a hairy stick, and I'm going to do these with a hairy stick as well. So the two items I've got is a water pump, a hand pump, and a little kind of wooden storage unit which would have like a plants on or whatever. It's like a planting station. I'm going to do the planting station first because I think that's going to be really easy. The method I'm going to use is very much just using washes and the old wood paint that I have from Vallejo, which I'm looking at my paint rack now and I can't see, which is always what happens. So I will find that paint and then I will show you me painting it. Here it is, Vallejo Old Wood, which is, can't see the colour, it's number 310, it doesn't have the longer number on it, this one. Panzer Aces anyway, it's a tank colour. So we'll give that a good shake and we're going to water it down. We're going to put it on quite thin. It does actually come out quite thick, this one, so I'll pop it on a wet palette. And I'm going to use a large brush for this. I'm not very well prepared, as you can see. I've just sat down to do this. Spent a lot of time away from my painting desk again, and I'm trying to get away from that. And so we're going to use quite a lot of water just to thin it down, and then almost wash it on. Shouldn't take too long, just to give it a basic colour. Tell you what, that didn't work, did it? I don't like those citadel handles, they annoy me. I will just hold it in my hand. Right, I'll let that to dry and we'll have a look at this. I'm also going to paint the base of this with the same old wood colour. So while that's out, I may as well get stuck in. The actual pump is going to be painted with natural steel. There we are, one pump. Clean that brush nicely. I'll make use of that steel another time. And now my idea with this here is to maybe use the wood grain that I bought, wherever that is. Again, I've reorganised my paints, which is why I can't find anything. The wood grain. But what I would also like to do is actually dry brush over, or maybe put it on as a wash, a grey or white. Now this is because I want this to look really old, and wood when it gets old does go grey. So the first thing I'm going to do before I do anything too dramatic with the wood grain, when I can find it, that is, I'm going to dig out my grey wash, pale grey wash. There it is. I'm going to pop some of that on my wet palette, and I'm going to wash it over and see what happens. Yeah, there we are. So a simple wash with a light grey from Vallejo, just to bring the wood colour down, make it look really like it's been outside for a long time, because these hobbits have lived in Hobbiton for a very long time, and so their stuff is probably a bit weather beaten. There we are. That's enough for now on those, I think. I will let them to dry and I'll come back to them when they're finished. So what was that? 6 minutes and 40 seconds long, this clip. And that hasn't taken me very long. So hopefully it won't have been that long for you to watch, because I will have cut bits out. So I'll let them dry, and that's the first bit's done, or started to be done, for dressing outside of the Hobbit hole. Hello, voiceover beard here again. Once more, I forgot to turn my microphone on. So I'm about to paint this horse, and I'm using saddle brown, which as you see is 70940, and burnt red, a mix of those two colours, which was suggested to me by Angela. She knows her colours, and I can tell you what, she was absolutely right. So I give this a good shake, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint it quite simply. I'm not that good a painter, as I'm sure you've noticed, and I do have an image on my phone which I was using to guide myself, and yeah, I mixed up those two colours and put them on the horse. So I'll now hand you back to real-time beard. And there you have it. I've painted a Pinto, as they say. Not a Pinto, that's a car, but a Pinto is this type of horse. I'm quite pleased with that. I've not tried to go too over the top, just subtly. And I did do it, as I said, I did a little mix of the saddle brown and the burnt red, and it came out beautifully. It was much better than my original idea. So thank you, Angela. You're a star. I'll let that dry and then come in and do the eyes, and then that will be finished and ready to go on the diorama. Yay! We are on to the very final step on this particular Sarissa building, which is gluing my little horse in place, and I'm going to use Luke's terrain glue because I think that's going to be the most secure way of doing it. So I'm going to stick a little bit of the terrain glue on the bottom of the hooves. This being latex based, I'm hoping that it'll be strong enough. Of course, I'm not actually going to be gluing the roof in place, so if the horse does get a bit loose, then I can always get in to fix it. But there we are, a little bit of latex glue, and he's going to be standing there sticking his head out through the door, and saying hello to the world. So that can now be left to go off, and then that particular building, until I've worked out how to do the rushes, as I've said, in the main building, but I'm not in a hurry for that, I'm not in a rush. Until the rushes are done, when I come to do them, I think that's pretty much finished. Great success. So almost against my better judgment, I'm going to try to make use of this Green Stuff World roller with this very low quality clay to see whether I can roll out some upright brick partitions to stick along the wall of the Sarissa building. So I might use a slightly, no, I'm going to try and use that thickness. So we'll put the ends on, and then we'll see whether we can do this without it all falling apart and sticking and being rubbish, because this clay has been in storage for way too long. So let's give this a go. Hey, look at all that there. Ridiculous. I need a better tray to be doing this on because it just sticks. Right, so I'm going to tidy up, get the model over and attempt to stick that in place. I shouldn't have shut that back. I'm going to have to open that all out to wash it now. That was careless. So I'm going to give a quick tidy up and then I'll be back with the next segment. I really do have no idea if this is going to work, but we're going to give it a try anyway, because what the hell. So here we have these gaps, and here we have some brick. And what I'm going to attempt to do is cut out and stick on uprights of brick across these gaps. So, first of all, we're going to get ourselves a sharp pick instrument, and we're going to take this, and we're going to attempt to cut in a straight line. It's going to be quite hard with that pick because it's all wonky and horrible. That one's better. We're going to attempt to cut in a straight line down through the clay. There we are. Now we don't have to have it too narrow because, well, we can have it as wide as we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure quickly roughly how high. I think it's 8. Let's grab my trusty tape measure. It's 5. So if I can get 5 centimetres, which is perfectly fine, so I can cut the bottom of this damaged bit off, which wants to fall apart anyway. So we can cut there, and then I'll offer it up against 5 centimetres. There we are, and cut there. Okay, so now we've got roughly the right height in this corner here. So now I might try and split that relatively thinly. This could go very wrong. I might actually look for the correct tool because I'm not really using the correct tool. I have a bunch of tools which are designed for this. That's better, see? Get the right tool for the job. There we are. So we have ourselves a bit of an upright or 2 or 3 of bricks. There we are. So now what we'll do is stand this on its end, which could be fun because it's got the steps at that side. So we'll do this side because that's going to be easier for me to do. Actually, you can't see that on the camera, so let me just raise that a bit. Okay, so now that we have these brick sections, what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to glue them in place. So I'm going to run a bead of PVA and then carefully lift one of these using this spatula tool. Ha! And it broke. But that's fine, I think. And set that in place and kind of smudge it in. It's a bit thick. I could probably have done with making these a little thinner. However, for my first attempt, I think that's okay. I'll just smudge them in at the bottom. We'll see how it looks. We'll see how it works out. That's what they look like at the moment. they'll probably stick and they'll probably dry on and they'll probably look okay. So what I'm going to do is the rest of the building. So I'll be back to you when I've finished doing that. I'm going to turn the camera off because I'm a little bit constrained trying to stay in shot, and I'll be back when I've finished doing this. 2 weeks today is Rosie's first birthday, so I've got to get my skates on this build. So what I'm going to do now, just very quickly in a brief break from work, is I'm going to do my sealing of all the stuff that I've poured all over the place on this, because yeah, there is still some that's loose and I do need to seal it before I can move on to the next step. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray it with the 99% alcohol, and then I'm going to spray it with my very loose mix of PVA and water that I have in this sift bottle. So it's going to be a bit stinky, but hopefully it'll be very quick. I've put a lot of newspaper up because it is a messy process. There we are. That will now dry over the next rest of the day, hopefully not that long, and then I will pick it up and I will be able to start putting the coloration in. As you can see, the field didn't really change colour as much as I wanted it to, so I'm just going to paint that over the top of it because I want it to be a lovely rich garden. But yeah, that will now be left to dry and hopefully will be completely sealed and we can move on to the next step very soon. What a messy process that is. Well, that dried a lot quicker than I expected and it's now very nicely sealed. There are a few places where this has also revealed that some of the dirt didn't stick down, but that's going to be fine. I can sort that out while I'm doing the rest of the build. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to use this colour, the red, the bright red, which is what I put down over the field initially, and I'm just going to wash that over. It's very thin paint anyway, just to bring out the colour, because this is where Sam is working on his field. He's planting his veg, which is on its way, by the way, and he is going to have been adding, as I've said about 100 times in this video now, he's going to have been improving this soil, so I want it to stand out quite nicely. Pretty much the rest of the build will be covered over with static grass and other scenicking materials, so it will be a very different look very shortly. But for now I'm going to put this on, and this will then finish this stage of the build and I can move on to static grass. That's perfect, that's going to look brilliant. Right, I'll leave that to dry again now. So now I'm going to be painting along the front of the Hobbit hole, because I'm really getting close to the pointy end of putting down static grass, and I need to do that before I do the grass. What I've got is these paints which I've used before on the channel. So the colours are purple will be for the neighbour's house. The light yellow will be for Sam and Rosie's front door, and then this darker yellow, mustardy colour will be going across all of the walls. So it's a relatively simple scheme, and then I'll be leaving the windows because I'm not totally sure what I'm going to do with them yet. So there's no point in spending time with them when I don't know what I'm going to do. So I've got a couple of old brushes. I'm going to use a slightly smaller one than I do normally, and I'm going to go in first of all with the purple, and I'm going to do that front door. So as usual with these, what I do is I give it a shake. That means that there's a little bit of paint in the lid, which means that there's no risk of me knocking it over, and that's normally more than enough to do the work that I need to do. Little tip for you there, if you're ever using tall bottles of paint from a hardware shop like that and you're worried about knocking them over. So we'll just very carefully paint that door purple. There we are. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the lighter yellow, having cleaned my brush, and I'm going to paint number 3's door. So again, shake. This is brand new, never been used, didn't open it before. Lovely bright yellow there, gorgeous colour. So let's clean my brush, get all the purple off of it. There we are, dry it off a little bit. And then, that's a beautiful colour. There we are, that's that done. The wood will need to be touched up because it's been a bit battered in the application of the terrain mixture and stuff, but yeah. So now we're going to do the whole of the rest of this, which is going to be done in this nice mustardy yellow, which actually comes out really beautifully. I did it on another Hobbit hole, which actually was one of the Sarissa buildings from their Badgers and Burrows, I think it is, range. And I did that as a Hobbit hole for playing on some of our games, and that's come out very well, and that's the paint I used. And it really does pop. So I'm going to very carefully paint that on all of the walls. There you are, that's a good first coat. I'll let that dry and I'll come back maybe later on and put another coat on, but doesn't that just transform it? I mean, just the application of a little bit of colour, which works well because it's what they've designed it in the films, it just makes all the difference. So I'll be coming back, touching up the wood. I've got a bit of wood to put down here as well, which isn't in yet, which I had meant to put in. But I'll do that as well, and then paint all the wood again, and then maybe do another coat as well of the yellow at least, and the doors, and I'll show you what that looks like when it's completed. But yeah, this is really coming on now. What I have now to do is create the slabs that run up to the front door on both Hobbit holes. So I've got a bit of card, quite a thick card as you can see, and I'm just drawing out shapes that I'll then cut out and glue down and then paint and what have you. So I'm going to get stuck into that while I drink my first cup of tea of the day, and yeah, I think this is going to look well. That's that done. I've hopefully got far too many. Now I'm going to go over to the bench, start cutting them out and sticking them in on the path. As you can see, it's a gorgeous day here, so rather than sit inside, thought I'd come out onto the balcony. What I'm working on is making the hair fence for Rosie's Hobbit hole. So while she plays in her bull pit just over there, I'm going to sit here with my chop it, and I'm going to cut up loads and loads of coffee stirrers. After my very enjoyable time on the balcony, cutting up far too many of these, all I was doing was trimming the little round edges off. What I'm about to do now is actually attach them onto the fence. So I'm splitting each one in half using a sharp knife. And then what I'll do is with PVA and with some of my clamps as well, can't have too many clamps, remember, I will be sticking them on. I'm doing a 2-rail fence, so I can go around corners. They're very nice and bendy, and I'll just glue them all in place. So I will get started on that. I won't run the camera because it's going to be quite quick and it'll be too much hassling to move the camera so you can see what's going on, but I'll be back in a bit to show you what it looks like when it's finished. I've got this far, and would you believe it, I've run out of these clamps. So Beard Clipper does not have enough beard clamps. I have just gone to Amazon and ordered another 15 or 25 or something, quite a lot anyway, because yeah, that annoys me. I don't like running out of clamps. But for now, these are going to dry up, and then I will do the rest of it, and then they'll dry up, and then I'll do the rest of it. So it's going to take, with this number of clamps, it's going to take me 3 efforts. But it's looking really good. I'm very pleased with it. So I will let that dry, go and have my lunch, my dinner, come back up and move the clamps and do the rest. We're back to this project. It's been quite a long time since I've looked at it. I've been gasping to get back to it, but other things have been more important, and also I am still waiting for some items. But I wanted to make a little bit more progress, and I'm going to work on this outside vestibule area and try and get this done. So the first thing I'm going to do now is, if I point here, you can see that this is where I want to have this as an opening. So I am going to get the hot wire cutter out now, put my mask on, turn the fan on, and I'm going to cut through along this line here. And I'm going to do the same on the other side, which will be kind of around here, so that that will then become a upright, and then I can start to texture this outside. I can put the doorway in and have a think about modelling the inside of that. I am waiting for a bunch of stuff to come for this, some pillars. Unfortunately, I ordered them from a web store, and then after I'd pressed the order and given the money, it said, by the way, we take 28 days to ship, which was a little shocking, but that's, I suppose, what you're going to do. Okay, so yes, I'm waiting for them. I have no idea when they're going to arrive, and that will probably delay this project quite a lot, but I'm going to make a little bit of a start, do a little bit more work on it now that I've got some time and a chance, and then it will go back on the back shelf until those items arrive. That's done. I'm still wearing my mask because it's very stinky, so I'm going to leave the room and come back in later and check it out, but I'm going to leave this to completely stop smelling, because that really is not very nice stuff. But that was very quick and easy. I made use of this tool here, which is Hot Wire Factory wand, and by doing a slow sawing motion, it cut through the blue stuff very, very easily, much easier than I expected it to, so I'm quite pleased. So there we have it. I have done all but the very, very last section of the fence. The only thing left is the top bit here. Everything else is done as a 2-bar fence, and it's looking brilliant. So that's going to have to wait until tomorrow now, because it's right at the end of the day, and I'm about to do the vlog for the 13th week. That dates this. So yeah, I will come back in tomorrow, finish off that final section and paint the fences. That's looking really nice now. I'm very, very pleased. And there it's done, the vlog for this week. I'm finishing this up on the Saturday evening because I want to get it rendered, and it takes a lot of time, and Sundays I try to spend time with the family. So there may be some more progress done tomorrow. Hopefully there will be. I've got a lot more to do on a lot more projects, as you can see. I do hope you've enjoyed the video, and if there's anything you want to say, please do add it in the comments below. I do love to hear from you all, and I do try to reply to every single comment I receive. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. I make quite regular content. I try to release at least 3 videos a week, and so if you are subscribing or have not yet subscribed, and do so now, don't forget to ding the bell so that you're told whenever one of those videos is published. Though YouTube is a bit odd, I actually don't think it really does tell people on time, which is a bit strange, but we shall see what happens with that. The last thing for me to say is, as is now traditional, cheers with my humongously large cup. I do hope that you've enjoyed the video, and thank you very much for watching Beard Clipper.